All right, guys, I'm here with Lucas Beane. He shot a buck that was just really cool, and it's got a great story to go along with it. So that said, let's introduce Lucas Beane. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good evening.
Yeah, it is a nice and cool finally. Yeah, it was pretty muggy this weekend. So, anyways, so let's introduce you. Tell our viewers who you are, what you do, where you grew up, and how you get started hunting.
My name's Lucas Beane, 38. I've been hunting, I guess, about 25 years. I don't know what year I started. It was like always part of the family growing up, but I don't think I actually lugged a gun until I was 13, 14, something like that. Grew up southern New Hampshire in Candia. I lived in Manchester. I live in Hooksett now. So just,
Yeah,
I hunt around towns here. So, I mean, it's public land and it gets hunted hard. There's a
yeah.
lot of people out hunting these woods. But I do tree work for a company, Lucas Tree Experts, all over the East Coast. And yeah, I don't know. I guess obsessed with hunting and fish during the off season. Just do the trail camera thing. It's neighbors laugh at me because you're either looking for sheds or you're out scouting or you're hanging a tree stand or you're taking them down. It's a year round thing, even though you can only hunt 3 months out of the year. But yeah, that's my story, man. I just happened to have a real good season last year and finally tagged one of those dream bucks I'd been after for so long.
Yeah. Now, have you had that in the past where you've been after a single buck and somebody whacks it before you get to it?
I'm always after a buck, and I'm never the one that gets it. And more often than not, I mean, you got Facebook now, so you can kind of track, watch, some of these unique bucks and say, oh, damn, somebody else got them. But a lot of these bucks seem to like, drift off into the sunset. I've got no idea what happened to them.
Yeah.
My father and I hunted one a few years ago. We both saw it one day, never got a shot at it, but the end, he was a nice 10 pointer, and the ends of his tines came up, and it was like fatter at the tips of his tines than it was
Yeah.
at the big, real distinguished buck. And neither him or I shot that buck, and I have no idea where he went. We never saw him again. Never got another trail cam picture of him. He just sort of vanished on us. I feel
Yeah.
like that's been the story with so many bucks. They just vanish. I'm sure they get hit or shot, and I haven't found them, but this is the first one that I've ever gone after. And just year after year after year being surprised that he survived the season again. He survived the season again. He survived the season again. And well, I was the lucky SOB to take him this time.
Right. And that's the reason we're talking is you had a 6 year quest after that buck.
That's
Six
right.
years.
I would have bet more. I was going to put him at 8.5. I talked to the state biologist. They took a tooth for me and sent it out to the labs out in the Dakotas or Montana. I would have bet the farm he was 8.5, and he came back 6.5. So I had pictures of what I thought back to 2015.
Yeah.
If they're telling me he's 6.5, there's no way he was a half-year-old in 2015. So I scrapped that year, and I know for sure I've got him for 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah.
So I hunted him 5 good years, but I guess that, there's a margin of error. Maybe he's a 7.5, but I was surprised he was as young as he was because, when I was hunting him in 2016, man, I was like, wow, this thing's a hammer, and the biologists are telling me he was a year and a half old at that point, so maybe there's a little bit of variation there, but I know for a fact I hunted him 5 years and I couldn't figure him out, man. I mean, I hear stories and see webcasts and stuff of people patterning bucks. I tried everything I knew how to pattern this thing, and I guess it was persistence, but I never patterned him. I got lucky at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if what kind of he's basically was in the suburban area that you
Um,
hunted, or was
yeah,
it?
so he was a public land buck. I was convinced his core area, he liked this about 100-acre piece that was posted. Nobody could get permission to hunt it. The guy just wasn't, he didn't hunt them himself, but he wasn't going to let anybody else hunt that property. And I think he spent a lot of his time in there because I hunted to the east, I hunted to the south, I hunted to the north, and I hunted to the west. And I had him in all of those areas. So I've got to figure he was spending a lot of his time, in that posted piece.
Yeah. So
But
that posted piece would have been the central piece.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
So he's crisscrossing. Yeah.
I think he spent a lot of time in there. But I don't know how many people knew about that buck, but I mean, there was plenty of people hunting them. I mean, I hunt with my father and his best friend, and I mean, we hunted them for 5 years. And some of my good friends in town, their whole families hunted them. There were 8 of us chasing this thing for 5 years, and those are just the people I know of.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure on that deer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the pictures I know that you sent, he was fantastic. I mean, he was really big.
2018, he exploded in 2018.
Yeah.
His G2, I think it would have been on his left side. His G2 forked out. He had a drop tine on his right side, and and his horns were pristine. I mean, he had a lot of length to his tines. Horns, nice mass, stuck up off his head really well. And I mean, I don't know if you'll end up throwing it in the video, but when I shot him, I mean, his antlers his tines had a lot of brumming. So I mean, they
Yeah.
weren't that long. They've been just so damaged while he was in velvet. But he was beautiful, gorgeous that year. That was the year I was starting to like figure him out a little bit more. I was getting way more pictures. I had some different stand setups, and I thought, Jesus, this is going to be the year that this buck's going to be something special if I can take this buck. And 2018 came and went. I never punched that tag. Yeah.
So close. Did you have any encounters with him that year?
No, I didn't. I'm the way I always figured it. I mean, I saw some asses and some tails out there, but I don't know. I could not confirm that I ever actually saw this buck in person. I'm sure he probably saw me cruise by, or I jumped him out of different pieces. But to confirm it was actually him, I never got a good look at him until the morning I shot him.
Right.
It was the first time in daylight, I had gotten, here he was, he walking right down the hill to me. It was perfect.
So you bow hunted him, rifle, the whole works?
Yeah. So, I guess I didn't realize I was doing. I mean, I wasn't hunting just one buck. I mean, I love to shoot deer. I
Right.
took some does over the years. I took some other bucks over the years, and you always hope you get one, and maybe you pass up something smaller, hoping for a bigger one. But I wasn't out hunting specifically a deer, but I was
Right.
hunting the piece that this buck was in. Probably 90% of my hunts. So,
Yep.
I was probably setting in a stand 20, 25 times a year. For them. And I guess after 5 years, it finally caught up. We finally crossed paths.
It's kind of like playing roulette.
Yeah. But he had a real big area too. The more I sort of focused on him, the more I figured out different areas he'd go in. But I had him, depending on the season, at least a 1,500 acre home range that he was spending time in. I'd be in a tree stand or a camera over here, and 3 miles away, I'd pick up his picture.
Yeah.
I was on the wrong side of town that day.
Wow.
So he was covering some ground.
So is that that's the farthest you had him at any point?
Just about 3 miles as the crow flies. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did anybody else ever send you pictures of him in any other areas that you?
Not in different areas. My buddies that were hunting him, I mean, we kind of hunt the same pieces of woods. We all knew about him. That's actually how we became friends. I remember sitting down with them. I think it was in 2017, having a bud. And we said, we all know we might as well get the cat out of the bag. We all know we're hunting something special in here, and that's when we really started sharing pictures and stuff like that. But that was all in the same area. I never saw, I mean, people post everything on Facebook. I thought I was going to see him pop up there, and I just never did.
Yeah. He was pretty smart. He'd stay out of your way. Yeah.
Yeah, he avoided me, no problem.
Yeah. So did you ever see him during off-season velvet, any of that stuff? Did you ever get to see him at?
Never got to see him. I looked for sheds for him for 5 years. I never found a shed. One guy I know did find a shed. And he found one of those beautiful sheds from 2018 when he it was his best year.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. The morning I shot him, I gave him a call, let him know that I'd taken him, and he came up and he brought the shed with him. So I got some pictures of him. First time I got to put my hands on that shed. He said he's not willing to part with it yet, but when he dies, he's going to leave it to me in his will. Yeah, but no, my buddies that did hunt him, they saw him once, right at dark on the way out, never got a shot. And the gentleman that actually had one of his sheds, he said he saw him bow hunting once, and he was out of range bow hunting. So other people, those are the only 2 sightings that I was aware of.
Wow. And wouldn't it'd be nice to get in that deer's memories and kind of figure out, now he's dead and gone, you probably don't care, but it would be kind of neat to look at it because you could use it on other deer.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess to keep my sanity, I just chalk it up. He spent a lot of time on that posted piece, but I know damn well that there were signs out there. He was spending plenty of time off that posted piece, and it took me forever to figure it out. I don't even know if I ever really did figure it out.
Is that posted piece, has that got higher ground on it than grounding, or?
No, it was cut off years ago, though. This buck, I don't know
Ah,
what he loved raspberries. So I mean, all July and August, these raspberry patches, I'd find him in. He was feeding heavy on them, but that posted piece, just wicked thick cover, got cut off like 15 years ago. But just a lot of raspberries, a lot of thick cover and sumac, and nobody goes in there. He
yep.
had everything he needed.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme that we're running into.
Yeah,
And a lot of guys have some weird theories of where these deer live, but we're starting to see a lot of these deer living in clear cuts that are
yeah,
nasty.
yeah.
Someplace they know that we're not going to go. You know?
So one of the places I'd pick up his pictures a lot. There's one little island, maybe an acre piece of softwoods, a real dark, shady hemlock area that sits right in the middle of a cutoff. And I had a stand and a camera outside of that, and I would get pictures of him at 12 o'clock in the day, 12:30 in the afternoon, 1 o'clock, and I know damn well he was just in that little shady piece. And he was out stretching his legs, moving around, and then he'd go back and rebed down. But again, I'd always get them there. I'd have them, July, August, early September. And I think I got him a picture of him under my stand once at noontime on September 15th. And after that, he would just completely pack up and move out of town. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I was bumping him out of there and that's why he was leaving, or if, he was just changing his patterns just because the raspberries were going by. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, it's that September 15th. That general time is when they start really feeling the testosterone and really start stretching their legs and changing patterns.
Yeah.
Just a little while after bow season starts, so that's probably what it was too. And he had plenty of experience with you guys, so he knew what to do.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
They pattern us as much as we pattern them. Just a hands down. So what year did you say he first appeared? That you
I'm
first got him?
going with 2016.
2016.
Yeah, so, but I mean, he was pretty good buck. I mean, I was excited. I said, this is a beautiful 8-pointer. And then, he just progressively got better. But we all knew who he was. I mean, he kind of had a little bit of a crook in one of his brow tines, but early on in life, he split his left ear, I think it was, down the middle.
Yep.
Excuse me, no, his right ear. Split it down the middle. It never healed.
Yep.
So I mean, even after he'd drop his antlers, we kind of all knew which one he was just because of that really long tear in his ear. So he was pretty easy to identify.
I like it when they do something other than antlers to be able to identify them, because so many of these jerks up here look exactly alike. Once they drop their antlers, you don't know who it is.
Yeah.
And you keep asking yourself, oh, did he make it through? And then you find out he didn't, but whatever. So yeah, I was going to ask you, my next thing on my list is asking you if you'd found sheds, but you've answered that already, which sheds don't always give you the answer you want anyways. It's just nice to have them for whatever reason,
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you how you patterned him. You said you never really got that chance. So
I'll tell you what, in 2019, I said, I'm going to do, I'm too lazy. I never looked at what's the temperature, what's the pressure, what's the moon phase. I built a spreadsheet for this son of a bitch. And I took every picture I had, went through historicals of, okay, he's here on this date. This is the weather. This is the moon. I get this massive spreadsheet on him. And I get to the end of it. I'm looking at it. I'm like, there's no pattern.
yeah,
Other than at high pressure, he likes to walk around a little bit more. So,
yeah.
I mean, I did that. I've got a map layer on Google Earth of every picture I ever got of him and sort of just try to build that home range. But I never really figured it out. I mean, I read stories of, people will figure a buck out. They can almost predict it to the day or, a series of 2 days that they know they're going to take them. I never got there.
Yeah, he sounds like he was a nomad. He was moving around a lot. He was he probably had beds in every single place you had cameras and was just hopscotching around by the sounds of it.
It took me 3 years just to get a daylight picture of him.
And then it's fun. It's funny. You get the daylight pictures and you think, okay, I got his bedding. And then poof, he disappears and you don't get any more.
Yeah.
And that's in the middle of summer. So what happened? Was it you checking your cameras? Was it the wind hit him wrong? He just felt like you were pressuring him, and then poof, they have another place. They'll usually have one good primary area that they're going to bed, and then they have all these satellite beds, which can turn into a primary if they get too much pressure on their You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
that's generally what happens. That's what we're finding anyways, with all the bed studies that we're doing right now, with going around and finding these beds, putting the cameras up, leaving them for a year and then coming back. We're kind of getting an idea of what they're doing. But to this day, it's still a whitetail. You can't predict everything. So I got lucky with Odd Job. I got lucky with him because he was such a lazy, fat homebody. He didn't go far. He never left. I mean, so it wasn't that hard to really figuring him out. The split brow that we had last year was a nomad. He was everywhere. He would come through an area every 3 days, but that you never knew exactly where he was going to be. So luckily somebody else got him and I don't have to worry about him now.
Yeah, I
Right.
never
So
got a picture of this buck with another deer either. He was solitary. I mean, even during the run, I never even got a picture of him with a doe. He was always by himself for 5 years.
Right. So he was never with a bachelor group or anything like that.
No, never.
That kind of correlates with some of the stuff I'm seeing with some of these more mature bucks is they'll kind of bed in an area that there's other bucks bedding, within 50 to 100 yards, but they don't travel together and they don't feed together. When he comes in an area that the smaller bucks may be feeding, they leave. Maybe he was a bully. Maybe he beat the crap out of everybody. So nobody wanted to be around him. That's always of course, now he's dead. So now the question is, well, before I ask you that question, why don't we go over the hunt and how it transpired that day?
I'll actually start it a couple of days before, so the days kind of blur together. But I think I had like a Thursday, Friday off from work, muzzleloader season. I love muzzleloader season. I shoot more bucks during muzzleloader season than I do during rifle always. But so I think I had Thursday, Friday off from work, and I go into this chunk of woods and didn't have a stand set up, so I think I was using my climber. And went in the dark in that morning. Got into this nice hardwood ridge. And I know there's usually like a community scrape there, and I had a camera on it. I dumped that camera off probably back in September, and I just left it. I said, I mean, hey, there's always deer on this hill. I've shot a pile of them. I'll go up there and sit. Didn't see anything that morning. Grab my camera and go home, and I check it, and I could see myself walking with the climber. And 10 minutes before I was there, there was this nice buck at that rub, and not the one I shot. And there had been like 5 different bucks there that week, all in the dark. I said, well, geez, I mean, they're close by, might be able to call one in. So Friday morning, I said, I'm going to go back in. I mean, this is a heavily hunted piece, but, it's Friday. Most people don't have a day off from work. And I went in, and I think legal shooting was like 6:01, 6:02 that morning. And I could hear a deer walking up the hill, coming right up towards me, right at like 5:59, 6 o'clock. And he went by. That deer walked by me at 6:02, the first minute of legal light. And I couldn't tell what it was. I couldn't have told you if it was a doe. I couldn't have told you if it was a buck. But he went by my camera. And I checked the camera when I got home that day, and it was that friggin' deer. And, absolutely devastated. The first opportunity, I could have shot him. And, it was that first minute of legal light. He was 60 yards out. I didn't know what I was looking at. But, I figured he went up on the hill and he must have bedded down. So I thought I had him. I said, hey, tonight he's going to turn around. He's going to come down that hill. And, he's going to head right towards water. It was warm out. I had this deer in my mind. So I went in there that night with my climber, and a woman was walking her dog in there. I was on a public trail. Nothing I could do about it. And that dog was going back and forth, running these hills, just back and forth, barking. And I was absolutely livid. I was like, I can't believe it. This dog's going to screw me up. And I told him, I said, I think your dog just ran way over that hill. She goes, oh, yeah, he loves to do that. And, I didn't tell her I was upset because it's public land, but I surely was. But I set up that night. I had a guy and his son came in on ATVs not too far from me, and I never saw a deer. And I didn't know what to do at that point. And Saturday morning would have been the next hunt. And I was debating whether I should even go in there or not. Just there were so many people in there that night. We're talking it's the weekend. I said, hey, I'll go in one more time. I'll be ready at 6:02. And so I went in with my climber again. I wasn't leaving it there because I was worried he'd pick up scent off it next to that, community scrape. And so I was going in and out with my climber every single day. And I went in Saturday morning, nothing came through at 6. And be honest with you, I was playing on Facebook, checking all those deer that everybody else shot on Facebook while I was waiting around 7 o'clock. I mean, you can start to tell the difference between a squirrel's footsteps and a deer's footsteps.
Yep.
And I could hear he was behind me, right over my right shoulder. That's sort of, if you can picture it, I'm sort of looking down a hill, and the uphill is, behind my back. And I could hear, and I look over my right shoulder, and I just see a deer moving. And, I could see that it's some decent antlers on him. So I got up. I've got a Thompson Center Triumph, and I got that. The deer was coming down a nice open hardwood ridge. And just as soon as I stood up, that deer stepped behind like a kind of a bushy hemlock tree. So I still didn't know what was going to step out on the other side. And it was about 60 yards out. That deer stepped out on the other side, stood broadside. He looked right up in the tree at me, had my silhouette perfect. And but at that time, I mean, the gun was cocked. I mean, I was ready to roll. And I dumped him right in his tracks. He never even moved. And I'm still, at that point, I wasn't 100% convinced I shot. I was pretty sure it was him. But I mean, you know how things happen fast in the woods, right? I mean, 60 yards out, buck walked down the hill. I put the scope on him and I shot him. I know I got a nice buck, and I'm not sure how good he is yet. And like, I'm getting myself pumped up thinking I shot this buck, but I got, I was at 27 feet because I like my lanyard for my gun is 25 feet, and I was pulling it off. I'm like, I've got to climb down this tree 27 feet. And I don't even getting all worked up thinking I shot this buck that I've been chasing for the last 6 years. So, but yeah, I texted about everybody I knew that I had a good one down on my walk down, but I couldn't believe my eyes when I finally walked over to him. And, 7 o'clock in the morning, I mean, sun was shining, broadside shot. He wasn't moving or anything. It was just perfect.
Oh, nice.
Couldn't ask for a better opportunity,
Wow. What type of a wind direction did you have that morning?
So wind was technically calm. I think it was a west-southwest wind when I looked it up. But, I was hunting a pretty steep slope. And what was interesting is the morning before, when I saw him right at first light, he was walking up. And I figured he was going up on top of the hill somewhere to bed. And that's honestly what I thought he was going to do that Saturday morning. That's what I was getting ready for. So I was kind of blown away. He was coming down. I mean, it makes sense he'd travel that way with thermals. That would be pushing scent right up the hill. But there was just enough wind rolling down that hill that, I mean, I actually still had the wind advantage. He was walking with a light wind to his butt. I mean, basically he was walking with the wind, and he never scented me. I wasn't really using any scent. I think I was using one of those tubes, just more like a cover, or Evercalm cover scent. I wasn't really using any doe and heat or anything like that. Right. I just had a little bit of Evercalm out there. So yeah, I beat him on the scent game, fortunately, because if there wasn't a little wind rolling down that hill, I mean, he would have had me with the thermals at 7 a.m. on a steep slope like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What were the thermals doing at that point? So if they were going up, that's why he was coming down with the wind in his butt.
Yeah.
So you'd be amazed at how many people don't know what a thermal is or how to use them.
I didn't know 5 years ago.
No.
And that's why I was facing down the hill. I didn't think anything was going to come down the hill behind me because, I wasn't covered in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what's next?
So that buck was wicked unique, right? Just a lot of character. So, I don't know, man. I mean, hunting in southern New Hampshire where I grew up, it takes so many years to even find a buck like that. And then, they're only around for like a year or two, max. So, I don't know. I sent a picture into Hawkeye. I said, it's bittersweet. I've never actually gotten my target buck before, so I don't know what to do. I had another one this year that I was starting to hunt a little more. His range actually overlapped with this one, so I could kind of say I was hunting both of them. But he's a hell of a 10-pointer, and he was Pope and Young this year for sure. I mean, he's got the mass, he's got the length, and I didn't see him shot on Facebook, so I haven't put any cameras out yet. But if he's around this year, I mean, he's not going to have the character or the junk, but he's going to be a hell of a buck. I've got a picture of him. I think 2018 is the first one I got of him. Yep. So this will be the fourth year that I've got pictures of him. I didn't have any in 19. I had him in 2018 as a young 10, nothing in 2019. And this year he was he was a smoke show, and he was so patternable until September like 20th. And I
Yeah.
think it's because I brought my freaking dog in there to check a camera because I had no idea what I was getting into. I just set a camera and leave it for like 3 months. Brought my dog in with me to check it, and I'll be damned, he'd been coming out like 6:30 for a lot, like 4 out of 5 days in a row.
Wow.
And he never showed up the first week of bow season. But I guess if he's alive, I think he's who's next.
Yeah, that's an all right one to go after.
Yeah.
I like a nice clean 10. There's nothing wrong with those.
No,
They,
no.
they don't have the character or that pizzazz you get with some of these other ones, but man, there's nothing like seeing that laying on the ground, coming up from behind it with that that big beam sticking out. That's always
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So do you travel at all to hunt? Do you
I do Ohio. I don't go every year. A buddy of mine go out to Ohio, and that's another story for another day. I had a heartbreak of a season out there where, uh, all I had was 4 days to hunt, and there was a monster that was traveling the area. On day 2, I got impatient and I took a lesser buck, and the monster stepped out behind him after I took that smaller buck. So, but I do Ohio, just like outfitters or whatever. I don't have property out there, and I'm going out to Idaho this year. I'm going to go mule deer hunting in October. So
Yep.
try to a little bit. It's expensive. I don't go every year, but maybe every other year I try to take a trip somewhere.
Yeah, and with the COVID and stuff, it kind of slowed a lot of stuff down.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to go to Canada, and we're in lockdown. You can't go into Canada, so
yeah, you can't cross the border.
So who knows when we're ever, as Americans, ever going to get to go up? I want to go up and see Jackson and go look at his antler collection there up in Alberta. But
I saw that interview. That was good.
Yeah, he's a great kid. So
yeah.
I always like to mention him because I know he watches these, and I know he wants to be known. So I always try to mention him. But I've got a pretty good antler collection, but he's out of control. That kid, he's just.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got 1,000 in this room, he says. 1,000. But anyways, so do you guys do a lot of shed hunting down there, or is
I guess it's more just putting miles on. I have years that I'll find 3, 4, 5. That would be a really good year. You got years like this year, I didn't pick up one, but I didn't go out as much either. Usually just putting on miles with the dog. I mean, my dog's not trained for it. She's found a couple, but she doesn't really know what she's doing.
it's more just getting out and doing a little scouting and
that's right.
Getting around, seeing what you see. There's a lot of stuff. It's funny once winter comes. It's funny what you'll find that you didn't see during deer season.
Yeah. I find just as many. I feel like really get. I guess late April, getting ready for turkey season.
Yeah.
I end up finding quite a few of them, but no, none this year though.
No, I've had a pretty good year. What did I get? 20.
Up to 26.
I'm at 26 right
now.
All
right.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And that's not one of my best years, but it's a good year. It's because I focused on one like 1,800 to 2,000 acres this year because of certain things that's upcoming, and I won't speak about it. So because I don't want to give any hints or anything away. So, well, let's talk about turkey season. I think we still got.
You got plenty of time.
We got plenty of time. So let's talk about turkeys. How'd you guys do this year?
It's been all right. The first one came easy, and the second one's coming a little bit harder. I've screwed more things up trying to get this second bird than I care to talk about. But it's been good. I was wondering. I think last year was the first year you could take 2, but I was wondering if there was going to be a lot fewer longbeards out there. But Jesus, I haven't noticed that there's any fewer out there. There's a pile of them.
No, and we did a podcast with Carter Heath talking about it, and me and James, we had kind of prematurely bitched about the fact that maybe there weren't going to be as many because here in Sullivan County, we had a record take last year of toms, and we were like, oh man, everybody's coming up here, the places that can't take 2 come to Sullivan County because we're basically the cradle of the turkeys is Sullivan County. So people just automatically want to come here, and there's not going to be any. I've seen more this year than last year. It's just an unbelievable amount of male turkeys. So,
Mention the name of your podcast.
Oh yeah, we do. I don't know if heard the podcast. We do Northeast Woodsman podcast. You can get it. And here's a shameless plug. What is it? It's on
Spotify.
On Spotify and on Apple iTunes. So I don't know any of this stuff. I just do the talking, but we do that, and we just basically cover all hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff. And we try to interview guys like you and talk about stuff. So don't be surprised if I get a hold of you and want to do a podcast. So
Cool.
So the turkeys have been pretty good this year. I haven't gotten one. I go every other year and not shoot turkeys because I'm trying to get everybody else turkeys.
Yeah.
So, and I've shot enough of them over the years. I call for people, and I get bigger thrill out of watching somebody's eyes get that big when the thing's coming in, you know. So that's my thing. But
I usually tell people, I'm more concerned with scouting for deer than I actually am turkey hunting. But
I agree.
That's bullshit too, because last weekend all I wanted to do was shoot another turkey, and I didn't care about deer scouting at all. So by the time the season gets kicked off, I'm ready to go after gobblers. Yeah. But I do use I saw a beautiful buck. What day is today? I saw a beautiful buck yesterday morning. Real nice bases on him. I said, I'll have to be back in here with a camera later on this summer. But yeah, he looked like a nice big body deer that I come up on yesterday. So it's a good time to scout.
How much development did he have?
He had at least 12 inches both sides. I mean, I was 75, 80 yards back, and he was asked to feeding, getting ready to go into this field. And he lifted his head up, but I mean, his bases were, pretty good a size around.
Yeah.
At least like 12 inches. I couldn't tell what it had for webbing or anything coming off. Yeah. I didn't have any binos on me or anything like that, but looked like a big body deer, and he had a real good start. So he'd definitely be something worth looking at this year.
Yeah, I went and grabbed a couple cameras yesterday because they're going to be doing some logging in the area they were in, and I wanted to make sure my cameras didn't go through a chipper. And one of the deer we had, he wasn't really big. He's probably about the size of that one right there, but he was all the way up, started as G1s already.
Is that right? Yep.
I was amazed. I've never seen one with G1s in May.
Yeah.
It's usually they've got the bases started and their brow tines are just starting, but that's it. Yep. I mean, I was pretty impressed with the development on that deer. He weren't real big, and he was pretty scrawny looking. He looked like he had a hard winter.
Oh yeah.
He was pretty bony, but they're starting to pick up some food now, so maybe they'll put some weight on real quick. I don't know. But
that one I saw yesterday looked like he's going to be a heavy deer. I think that's what caught my interest the most. I said,
his body.
Yeah, it's good body on him already.
Yep. Speaking of which, that buck that you shot there, how much did he weigh?
194.6.
Oh, so close yet so far away.
Yeah, probably 2018 or 2019. Buddy of mine, one of the other guys that was hunting this deer, had a video of him from back in I don't know if it was August, September, but he had a pretty good limp on him back then. Mm-hmm. So if you just look at his antlers and you look at his body, I mean, he just seemed like he had gone down a level, So yeah. I mean, I know you gotta have good genes to hit 200, but if he was 194.6 November 7th, 2020, I would imagine he peaked over 200 at some point.
I would imagine during early bow season he would have been trying to just figure the percentage wise. Yeah, about 215, 220.
Yeah. I mean, you saw that. I sent you some of the pictures from over the years.
Yeah.
He never looked like a massive bodied deer.
No,
but I mean, he was a good buck, but he was never massive body wise.
Is he long?
Decent. Yeah, he was pretty long deer, longer than he was wide. He didn't have a big gut on him.
No. You want to do a plug for your tree service?
Sure. Well, I mean, we got more work than we know what to do with, but Lucas Tree Experts. We do utility tree work. We run from Nova Scotia all the way to Georgia.
And you haven't hunted in Nova Scotia yet?
I haven't, no. I used to run their transmission division, so all I did all day was just bid and walk and patrol transmission lines. And you want to talk about a fun job. I saw so many deer, turkeys, and everything. Yeah, just walking the countryside every day.
They're rocking the moose up there too, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so usually I ask a couple of weird questions, just out of entertainment value. So one is, how do you feel about Starbucks Frappuccinos? Do you drink those?
I don't think I've ever had one.
Good boy. Yeah, thank you. Catfish. You ever caught catfish?
Yeah, I don't know if they were channel cats or river. I fished Roanoke Rapids when I lived down south once. That would have been the only time I ever been catfishing. And we caught more eels in, I guess they're like hybrid stripers up in the river than we did catfish. So we didn't get into anything good.
No, nothing big.
No.
Oh, okay. That's unfortunate. You got to go to the Connecticut River.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we get the good ones.
That's right. What type of cats are you taking out of there?
Channels.
Channels, yeah.
Yeah. The biggest one. I actually have the largest caught and released one.
Oh, do you?
It's 37.5 inches long.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't. It weighed 14 pounds, but it looked like it was anemic. I mean, there was no weight on it.
Huh.
I mean, a fish that big would be somewhere around 30 pounds.
Why? Any theories on that?
It was a male fish that was really old.
Yeah.
It was pre-spawn. I just think he was an old fish. He was in pretty rough shape. But the head on it was as big as my laptop. It looked like a flathead. It was so big. So, but yeah, I don't know whether I've got the picture we'll post on this when we put it up. Because I like to show everybody that fish because it's so big. Caught it on a fall fish head.
Oh yeah,
1 pound fall fish head, and it only took about 13 seconds for it to bite. I threw it out midnight, hits the ground, hits the ground, hits the water, sunk to the bottom. As soon as it hit the bottom, that fish took it, and minutes later I got it in. So. Big one, but we catch a lot of them down there. They're 10 pounds, 9 pounds, pretty nice fish.
Yeah.
For New Hampshire to go someplace and be able to say, yeah, we could probably tonight catch 4, 5, 6 pound fish. What other fish are you going to catch in the state of New Hampshire regularly that are 6, 8 pounds?
Oh yeah.
I mean, even lake trout, you don't get them that big unless you're really targeting them.
Yeah, you're not even going to get into stripers down on the coast consistently that big.
So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. It's nasty. We run chicken bait, chicken livers, and that seems to be for us the top bait. I don't think that the record was caught with was the record caught with chicken liver?
I can't remember.
I can't remember what Matt's fish was caught on. His is big fish, but I thought he said it was chicken liver, but I'll have to check that. I don't want to misquote him on it, but that guy, I'll have to have him on here again. And that guy, if you can coax him into taking you catfishing, he knows more about that stuff than I'll ever know. I mean, he just lives for it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we get some good channel cats down there, big eels, but it's mainly channel cats that we go after down there. So, and it's a long river to be fishing. So,
yeah, I do more fishing. I do a lot more fly fishing for trout and salmon.
Yep.
I caught a nice brookie. The state dumped some of those giant brookies in the trophy stretch up there on the Connecticut last year, and I was fortunate enough to pull one of those out.
Oh yeah.
Got it was about an 8-second fight. Just he happened to hit it right before I pulled my line out of the water, and before he knew it, he was in my net. But good 4.5 pound brookie. He was a nice one.
Oh yeah, big old square body.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get some good ones up there. I haven't fished. I haven't gone to Pittsburgh now in probably 7 or 8 years.
Oh yeah.
But we're planning on going to Pittsburgh to try to get some pictures and start working on maybe going after a big buck up there. So
nice.
I know there's some up there, and it's just we're going to start spreading out. We're trying to do just the state of New Hampshire. We're not trying to go to Vermont or Maine. It's just I'm a homebody anyways. I get truck lag going the 3 miles to my job up the road. So going to Pittsburgh is a big trip for me. We used to go all the time. And so I got a pretty good idea up there where I need to go to get into a good buck. Problem is they start coming out of the mountains there after a while down late season. So, but we're going to kind of get into that. And we're doing a couple other things. We're actually doing a big buck camera challenge. Me and one of the new guys that are in the Quest for 200, and the whole thing is we're going on a piece of property we've never been on before. We look at a map, we choose an area by picking it from a topo. We go in, we scout it, we say, okay, there's going to be a big buck here. We put a camera in, we back out, we check it once a month, and at the end, in September 15th, whoever's got the biggest rack buck, we're going to have a wager and see who wins.
That's awesome.
So
that's really cool.
And it's going to be kind of educational. We're going to kind of do it so we can teach people, because and you probably have this. You probably have friends that say, "I get cameras out all over the place, and all I get is does and turkeys or whatever. I never get a good buck on camera."
That's interesting you say that too, because you could set up a camera where you'll start to get buck pictures, and you're going to get buck pictures on that camera every single year. Even after that buck dies, there's going to be other bucks that have been there. So like as you start to do it, like remember where your buck spots are. And, I've got certain trees, that probably 7 or 8 trees out there that I know I'm going to have a camera on come this summer. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to have out there, but I know that my buck spots.
Yeah, it seems like they generationally will use those same areas over and over again. And we found that with bedding too, is I can guarantee you right now up on the mountain that the beds that I had found that were odd jobs beds, there's a new buck using them.
Sure. Yep.
And that buck will use them and grow and get big too. So it seems like not only that, but feeding areas. I found that the big bucks, the older mature bucks, tend to force out anybody who's in a good spot, and they take the best spots for themselves.
Yeah.
And if you know where those spots are, you're going to get a big buck. And we all know guys that hunt certain areas. They won't tell you where it is, obviously, but they'll hunt a place. They'll get a 200-pounder out of there every other year.
Yeah.
Because that is a spot where all the big mature bucks are feeding or whatever they're doing there.
It's like it's the best resources, so they're just going to claim it as their own.
Yeah.
And when that big buck's gone, the next big buck's going to come claim it as his own.
Absolutely. And fish do the same thing.
Yeah.
Big bass will do the same thing. If you got one stump in one spot that you caught a 6 or 7 pounder off from, you can guarantee that every now and then you're going to get another big 6 or 7 pounder off that one spot.
Oh, trout are the same way. You can have your favorite little run past this rock or around a corner that you caught a big one on last year. There's going to be a big one in there this year.
Yeah, because the biggest, strongest take the best spots.
That's right.
And I think a lot of people miss that. Somebody will shoot a big buck someplace, and they'll just chalk it up to luck. And I hate that word because I don't think it's luck. I think there's a reason. So instead of hunting that spot again, they'll go, "Oh no, I shot a deer there. That spot's ruined. I'll go someplace else." And then their neighbor shoots a deer in the same spot that's just as big.
Yeah.
I think people really need to rethink a lot of that stuff, because deer they're creatures of habit, and they'll just keep doing it. And just like you said, that same tree, you're going to get a good buck on it almost every year if you put it there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What kind of cameras do you run? Or you just run them in?
I've accumulated a pile. Well, I shouldn't say pile. What I think is a lot. Some people don't think it's. I've got like 16 or 17 that I'm running now. But the ones I've bought over the last few years, that I get I don't buy expensive ones, so I get the most life and I have the most success with Wild Game Innovations. And I've heard people talk poorly about them, but I mean, I think I've tried every type there is, and these things are taking beautiful pics, and they're reliable with good battery life. So, and they're $70 a pop. So I've been using mostly those the last few years, but I've got some Moultries, I've got some Brownings, just odds and ends.
Yeah, whatever you can grab. Yeah,
whatever was on sale.
I've had good luck with the Wild Game Innovations. I can't talk.
Still takes pictures.
Yeah, I've got. Is that a 2011?
2011.
I've got a 2011 Blade 8, I think it is. Blade 5. Blade 5. That still is, my nephew has it now, and it's still taking pictures. And that thing has taken thousands and thousands of pictures. We used to have it on a food plot. It was like constant. So I just can't believe that thing's still running. And then I've had some $100 cameras last one season and then crap out on you. So
yeah.
It don't matter. It depends on who put it together that day, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
No, that's true. Because there's some people that'll swear by every brand. I mean, I'm sure every brand makes some nice cameras too.
Yeah.
It's just for when I'm spending, $60, $70, $80, I've had the best luck with those Wild Game Innovations.
Yeah. I mean, it goes, what kind of truck do you drive?
F-150.
You got an F-150. Some people will tell you you're crazy. It's not a Chevy.
Yeah,
guys will say, no, you got to have a Dodge, right? Well, they all run, they all brake, and they all suck money out of your pocket. So it doesn't
like
matter.
I do I'm in the tree business. So some guys say Husqvarna saws are the best, and the other guys are going to say they're garbage because steel saws are the best.
Yeah, but they all cut trees.
That's right.
Right. Whatever gives you confidence. And I think that's something that one of the guys said the other day. He said, I don't use camo almost at all. I'm never. I bow hunt with a green plaid jacket.
Yeah.
So
Use camo for turkey.
I do use camo for turkeys, but we're talking deer, but I don't use it. Some people do. And what he says, it doesn't matter really. Deer don't see like turkeys do. But if it gives you confidence to wear, your Walmart camo, your Sitka gear, your wool coat, that's what you should use.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, if you just want to go out and wear a bright red coat, you're all set. So
I feel like with deer, it's all about movement. They just pick that movement up so easily.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can have the best camo in the world, and if you sneeze or you move the wrong way, they're going to see you. Camo doesn't make you invisible. I mean, if they came up with something that made you invisible, you'd use it.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, I mean, that buck I shot this last year, he was 65 yards out. I was 27 feet in a tree, and he had the second he stepped out on the other side of the hemlock. I mean, and that was really all that was a silhouette. And I was pointing the gun at him, but I mean, he had me made. He knew there was something going on up there.
Yeah, he'd never seen that thing in a tree before.
No, he's never going to see it again.
Yeah, that's true. He went before he could make up his mind. It was too late.
Yeah.
So, that's it's as far as the gun, guns go. I think it's the same way. I mean, I've used the same Model 94 for 100 years now.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh, when are you going to grow up and buy a big boy gun?" I was like, I don't know if you noticed, but the things works. I'm not going to complain. So the day that I shoot a deer 7 or 8 times and it doesn't die and it walks off unscathed, then I'll stop using it. So
and
it's
that's
the
not
same
going to
thing.
happen.
No, but it gives me confidence because I've shot so many deer with it. I keep using it. And the same thing for anybody else. It's same with bows. Same with everything. If it gives you confidence, you should use it because that's how you're going to be successful, is that confidence.
Yeah, you kind of need to have confidence in your game plan, right? Or else how are you ever going to stick with it? Like, you need to be confident that you think you figured this buck out, or that there's going to be deer in this chunk of woods, or that your camo is going to help you. So otherwise it can get pretty bleak out there pretty quick, because I go days without seeing anything sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we're in New Hampshire. You're going to go days without seeing it,
Yeah,
that's for sure. I years ago, I remember there was one year I had that was really bad. And a lot of it had to do with, I can't remember if we moved or what happened. It's just, I had a lot of negativity, and that negativity was transferring in the woods. It was almost like the deer could feel that negativity and they just steer clear. I don't know if that's the way it was, but that's how I interpreted it. And I just decided one morning on the way to work, as we were getting the northern lights, I'm driving north up 89 and the northern lights are in the sky. And I was like, man, that's kind of cool. And that kind of boosted my morale, I guess you'd say. I hit the woods. I shot a deer within an hour of being in a nice big 8. And I was like, yeah, so that positivity, that positive mindset is the key. Even if you're in an area there's not a deer, if you're positive you're going to see one, it just makes it all that much better. And I think it just works.
Yeah. Now, do you do a lot of tracking, or, that big 8?
Yeah, I track and still hunt. I bow hunted this year and a little bit year before, and this year was tent blind. Last year was tent blind. I don't like heights. I'm petrified, and I know you tree guys laugh at that, because I got a buddy that does tree work too, and he's 30 feet in a tree and doesn't think nothing of it, and I just can't do it. I get 10 feet off the ground, and I start sweating.
Yeah.
So I've tended to go to the ground, but we do mostly tracking. That's where I think probably 80% of my bucks have come from, is tracking. Cool. This year, of course not. We didn't have any snow until the last day. So this year was still hunting. So I tend to be on the ground more than anything.
Yeah.
I would suspect that you're more of a tree stand hunter.
I mean, I haven't really done that much tracking down in southern New Hampshire. They just you get on a track, and next thing you know, they go onto a posted piece, or they go onto
Yeah.
somebody's yard. But I have tried. When I get an opportunity, I try. I've never sealed the deal. I've blown the deal a couple of times, but I've not sealed the deal on a track. I do a lot of still hunting, though. I love those windy days or rainy days where, I'll pick a big chunk of woods that I know there's deer in, and sort of set myself up where I'm just going to be walking into the wind and, I'm just going slow. And I've shot a lot of deer that way. You see them bedded or, hey, maybe you bump them up, but, they're going to run out there 40, 50 yards and stop and look back and say, what the heck was that thing? And usually, it's too late at that point.
I got to say, I have never shot a deer on a cloudy day.
Is that right?
They're all on high pressure, cool, clear, bright days. Every single one of them.
Huh.
And I think Odd Job was the only one that there were clouds in the sky. And that was after I shot him. It was the weirdest thing. Bright, sunny morning, beautiful morning, shoot him and it gets cloudy. It was just kind of eerie.
Yeah.
But, maybe we should, if you're not tagged out, if we got snow, maybe you should come up and we'll go track something.
Would love to.
I've got plenty of deer in my big area to track. So, and we're talking 6,000 acres.
That'll get
nothing.
It done. Yeah.
So, yeah. So we won't run into anybody's house or anything like that.
No, that would be awesome. I'd love to.
Yeah, I'd love to. I get off on teaching people that kind of stuff, and even more than that, I get off when somebody shoots one. So it's pretty awesome. I shouldn't probably use getting off, but it's ever. But I've had some pretty good luck. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but we've had some pretty good luck getting people on deer and taking them. So got a lot of guys that were on big bucks, but they shoot, they miss, whatever. But I tend to get you on them. I can't shoot for you, so that's up to you.
You can only do so much.
Yeah. But I'd love to take somebody tracking and teach them that and get them.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Because there's a lot. It doesn't seem like there's a lot to know, but there's a lot to know.
I work with a bunch of these guys, and they're master guides up in Maine, and that's how they hunt. They track down big bucks in the snow, and they shoot them. And that's just the type of hunting they do. And I'm hunting a different world down here in southern New Hampshire.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, there's two guys that we know that we've talked to. Diane's talked to him more than I have, and James talks to him all the time. Neil Pendleton.
Yeah.
So you got Neil, and then
he finds some nice bucks.
Yeah, he does, and he's hunting kind of the same place as you are.
Yeah. And he's one of the ones that he can pin it down. Like he'll know this weekend I'm going to take him.
Yeah.
Because he knows where he's bedding. He knows he's going to come out because it's high pressure. He knows which way he's going to go. I mean, that guy he speaks deer language, I guess.
He lives. He just lives it, and it's kind of the same with us. I shouldn't say us. Diane's not crazy enough, but we spend. I can't even tell you how much time in the woods I spend. I'm a farmer anyway, so I'm out, seeing this stuff all the time. But I'm
too busy tracking other people's deer.
Yeah, Diane tracks everybody else's deer when they shoot them, but I can't tell you how many hours I spend in the woods. On the weekend, I don't watch football. I don't play baseball. I don't even have a TV. I'm in the woods. From the time the sun comes up to the time it goes down, I'm in the woods doing whatever it is. And so that's kind of the same idea. The only difference is where you guys have maybe, 250 acres that you're working with, maybe that's too big, too small. I'm not sure what your acreage is. I'm dealing with thousands of acres at a time. So it makes it harder, but that's why I have to be out there. We're dealing a lot of north facing slopes with a lot of, on one side beech and birch and stuff that the deer like to bed on. And then on the other side, they feed on that with all the oak and the clear cuts. So that seems to be how we run it, but it's a lot of walking. I don't know how tall and long legged you are, but
I'm in good shape. I'm trying to get ready for that Idaho hunt. They said, we're going to be going in. We're probably going to be hunting at 10,000 feet. And I said, well, it's about time to get back in shape. But I mean,
Yeah.
I nobody's gonna walk me. Well, you probably would, but I can
I
keep
don't
up
know.
with you dawn to dusk.
I have a problem. I have a problem with speed. I'm only 5'6", and I got little stubs legs. But as
Yeah.
far as being able to keep doing it, I can go all day.
I can go all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've
Well,
got to be able to, really. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
leave your truck in the morning and know it might be 12 hours before I get back.
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, most days that aren't like that for me. I mean,
No.
some people say, oh, during the rut or whatever, if you pick out a buck, you're going to have to sit all day. I know you said you don't do tree hunting. I don't sit all day. No. Thank you. I can't do it.
No, and I don't find that to be as productive in the big woods, because they're going to generally, well, we're starting to change a little bit of thought, but like in early season, we want to set up your stand 100 yards from where they're bedding, which is, you got to do a lot of thinking, because everything has to do with the wind and your terrain, and having to be able to get into that 100-yard area after he's in his bed, and then be able to set up so you don't spook him. So it's like surgery. It's very hard to do. What do we got? Oh, we're gonna have to start wrapping this up, she said.
All right.
So, but anyways, yeah, we'd love to have you to come up at some point if you're not tagged out, and even if you are, if you just want to come and tag along. We're going to be doing some tracking seminars, still hunting seminars, camera. We're doing a bunch of stuff like that now. So that'd be another something you might be interested in. But I'd love to have you come up, and we'll try to track one.
Yeah, I'll plan on coming up, even if it's just for one of those seminars before the season.
That would be awesome.
That'd be good.
Cool. Well, it's been awesome talking to you. I like talking to guys that talk the language I do. So it's pretty good, because otherwise I don't know what I'm talking. I'm talking to somebody here.
Do you ever find during hunting season it becomes difficult to talk to people that don't hunt, because all you've done is either hunted or thought about hunting whitetails, and you realize you don't really have anything in common to talk about with anybody that's a non-hunter at that point?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, thank God I have the wife that I do.
Yeah.
If I had a wife that was more, I don't know, like traditional, like today's girls that you see, I wouldn't be married. There's no way. There's no, oh, we have to go out to dinner. No, I got to get up at 3:00 this morning and be here. Oh no, yeah, it wouldn't work out. So,
I've gone all day anyway tracking.
yeah, Diane gets up same time I do, and waits on the phone call, and phone call comes. I shot an 8-pointer. I need you to bring the dog out. She's gone all day, and then she'll hopscotch from one track to the other. So
I had to call around during archery. I'd never had to call for a dog before. In this archery season, I shot a little buck, and I couldn't find him. I had to call, and I couldn't get a dog, and I knew I had killed that deer, and ended up going back in that afternoon. And it's one of those things, you pack it up, say, nah, it just wasn't meant to be. And Buddy says, don't you just want to take one more loop? And, you do one more loop, and that deer was right where he was supposed to be, right where I thought he was the whole time. Just never walked by him a million times. But yeah. I couldn't even get a dog that day. There were so many out tracking.
That's a problem, is you get some of those opening 2 weeks of bow season is just insane, because
that's what it was.
You get guys jumping up in a tree and they haven't shot very much all year, or they haven't shot at all, and the first deer comes in. Well, my pin was good last year. Whack. And it doesn't.
Or ghost twigs.
Or you get the ghost twigs, as Diane calls them, and then you're in deep crap. So we do. It's busy, and this year I'm actually going to be tracking also this year, just to kind of help out. And if I have time, hopefully I have time. So we'll be taking the Beagle out, running the Beagle.
Cool.
And hopefully Bella will be able to do one more year. So
she'll be 12.
She'll be 12 this year, but she's fantastic. She was fantastic last year. So anyways, thanks a lot, Lucas.
Hey, thank you. It's awesome to meet you.
Yeah. So pay attention. We'll be putting this up pretty soon.
Sounds good. I'll be looking for it.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night.